Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This year, as part of our coverage of ATX Television Festival Season 8, I was lucky enough to chat with the people in charge of Lifetime Television. We sat down and spoke with Tanya Lopez, the EVP of Movies, Limited Series, and Original Movie Acquisitions, Gena McCarthy, the EVP and Head of Programming for Lifetime Unscripted, Tamra Simmons, the Executive Producer for Surviving R. Kelly, and Jamie Denbo, the creator and executive producer of American Princess. It's a great chat about what Lifetime brand means to them, how they found their roles in the industry, what they love about their careers, and much more. I hope you enjoy.
TV Dudes.
Hello, this is Les from the TV Dudes, and I am lucky enough to be sitting here with a table full of talented people.
I for sure thought you were going to say hot chicks, but I guess that's not allowed anymore. Well, I know you think it, which makes me feel good, and it's not offensive.
Okay, good.
Raised well enough to keep my mouth shut on it.
Yep.
Yes.
Would you mind introducing yourselves?
Hit it.
Hello, I am Jamie Denbo, executive producer, creator, and showrunner of American Princess on Lifetime.
Tanya Lopez. God, I have to with such flair.
Yes,
you do. Executive VP, Original Movies and Scripted Television Lifetime.
And Gena McCarthy, Executive VP and Head of Unscripted Programming for Lifetime and FYI.
Comma, hot chicks.
I'm not going to argue with Jamie on this.
Nope.
So, can each of you talk a bit about not just having an interest in television or an interest in storytelling, but ending up in very behind the scenes. The reason that I actually see television on my television is not necessarily because people write. You need a script, you need actors, you need everything else. But there's a lot of unproduced scripts out there. There's a lot of non-working actors. There's a reason that TV shows make it from idea to my screen. But I didn't know that most of those things were jobs for the first 30 years I watched TV. How did you end up in this side of the industry and in this career track of it?
Well, I started off, I was an agent for 20 years. So what I did was people would come to me with their properties and say, help me go make these into TV series. And so for me, it was very much about curating the idea for the particular network we were selling to. And I loved it. I loved doing my job until I got very tired of doing that job. And thought, I wonder what it's like on the other side. I wonder what happens in those rooms. And I'm busy selling all the time. And I'm sure they're just sitting back, just reaping the benefits of everything that I'm selling. And what I really discovered is they're selling on that side too. And you jumping in? Here.
Yeah. We're bringing in another guest. And guess what, nerds?
Yeah.
She's a hot chick too.
No, I just scooted.
Sit there.
Camera.
The question was, how did television that you saw make you want to be in TV?
How did you end up in this role, particularly?
I don't want to know that story, but
You should introduce yourself.
Yes.
I'm Tamra Simmons, executive producer. Do I have food on this?
Not at all.
Okay. Well, my grandparents raised me, and we didn't have cable
Executive
at all.
producer
Oh,
of.
Surviving R. Kelly, executive producer of Surviving R. Kelly. So my grandparents raised me, and we didn't have cable, so I just watched 2, 4, 5, Fox, I think, and PBS, maybe the CW. And then I would go to my dad's and my stepmom's house on the weekends, and my stepmom would always watch Lifetime, ironic enough. And so I didn't know anything about cable TV except for, Lifetime and the movies that they produce and that sort of thing. And then I think that's kind of how, I don't know, ironically, it just, the Surviving R. Kelly, the best platform was Lifetime because of the support of the women that they have for women. And then I'm a woman creator, so I just thought that was going to be the best for all of us. And it ended up being a great choice.
That's great.
I know. And I never said that I wanted to be a television producer. So this was really like a passion project of mine, and I kind of went with my spirit and intuition. And then when I sat down and talked to the families, I really, even if it wasn't on television, I still wanted to see how I could help.
But I think that's the key, passion. couldn't find anyone more passionate about her property than Jamie. No, I think passion really sort of like, it does cut through the clutter. I mean, if two things being equal, I'm much more inclined to buy from the creator and the producer and or whoever that creative thing is, if they care.
I will say American Princess is a story that I've wanted to tell for 25 years. And interestingly, it's about, in some ways, my discovering that there is a world of entertainment between waitress and movie star, which growing up, if you're a small town person in America and you're living outside of Boston and you're watching syndicated sitcoms every afternoon, I mean, it's just, Culver City might as well be another planet. Beautiful shot in downtown Burbank. It's like, well, that's on Mars. And you don't think that you can actually have a part in that process. So when I mistakenly wound up at the Renaissance Festival, which is pretty much what American Princess is about, it was unleashed an entire world of, okay, this is actually, there's a piece of this world that links eventually to the piece of the creative business world. And so it was my first turn and my first step on a process to building a set of skills, whether it's improv comedy or entertainment in live venues, that takes you all the way to eventually into the media world and into producing. So that was sort of my journey there.
And I sort of fell into my behind-the-scenes role. I was working my way through a creative nonfiction writing degree and took a job as a publicist for a children's show called Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
I love that show!
It was a great show. Lynn Thigpen.
Oh, she was in Where in
the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Yeah, we know.
All right. Don't you believe?
Okay. That again. Let's play that one again. Yes. So that's one of my favorite shows. That got me started. And the guy who produced it saw, a spark in me and moved me over into development and production. So for me, more of a writer by organic trade, I just loved and fell in love with the world of telling stories. The fact that I happened to be pursuing an unscripted,
still stories
degree, just kind of segued very beautifully into the world of unscripted. I'm actually quite shy by nature, so I had no interest at all of doing what this woman over here is so brilliant at.
Super loud.
But behind the scenes, having the ability to tell stories that resonate for women is a joy every day, I think, for everyone around this table. It really is. So, real privilege.
You mentioned a fit for the show for Surviving R. Kelly, and when you were an agent, different brands for different channels, which I think even casual home viewers understand that there's an NBC type sitcom, there's an ABC type, there's a CBS type procedural.
You go to history for something that's different than when you go to FX. Yes.
Lifetime has such an established brand. I mean, the Lifetime movie is its own thing. When you got into this role, was it fun to play with that expectation? Was it fun to move into that world, knowing that you need to pick things kind of towards Lifetime?
I think it was I think the strength of the brand surprised me. I had always heard about Lifetime, we all knew about Lifetime, but I didn't understand how globally powerful it was, how much it was in the fabric of certainly television viewing and in the fabric of women. And I think what became very humbling for me is how much this was such a trusted brand that when women came to it, they stayed with it. So and they came to us for reasons that weren't just for entertainment, although entertainment is a priority. So I think that I had to step back and go, okay, now that I'm here, what are we going to do with all this media landscape that we have, and how can we continue to make it better?
As far as American Princess, why did you feel it fit best on Lifetime, or how did it work out to do it here?
Well, it was interesting. We've been talking a lot today about how the through line that I personally see in Lifetime is sort of busted fairy tales. It runs through a lot of their unscripted programming. Whether it's Married at First Sight or Marrying Millions, you're getting a sense of this aspirational idea that every young girl sort of hooks into. Whether it's Surviving R. Kelly, your dream connection with one of the biggest superstars in the world, and then it's taking it the beat after, and really seeing what works out about that dream and what doesn't, and going and tracing it when it's a little gritty and when it's really upsetting, or chasing it when it's kind of comedic and campy and fun. And my show really fits into that brand. It's about someone who has her life laid out very perfectly and very fairy tale. And I'm going to get married and live in the same block that my mom lives and have kids and grow up the way that I'm expected to. And then her whole life blows up when her wedding goes off the rails and she takes a left turn. A trauma just propels her into this left turn into a community she didn't know existed. I have a very light and comedic take on that. But the emotional part is all the same in everything. What do you do when life throws a curveball and you've set it up in your brain for a certain expectation? So I think it fits in really nicely with Lifetime's brand.
What have you each found most surprisingly satisfying about the jobs that you're doing now?
Well, we feel all set. We feel enormously satisfied by the job you're doing. For all of us, I have to say, right?
So thank you. I think that the most satisfying is people messaging me, telling me that they've talked to like their mom or their uncles or whoever has hurt them and went to them and told them that they forgave them, just like through the documentary. It's just like so many people have been healed from it, and I feel like that helped me be able to understand like that I have a specific gift that I can give to the world, which is I said this earlier, which is like shedding light in dark places, and I'm not scared to do that because I just don't have any fear in me when it comes to that. So I think that that's the most important thing that I've been able to, learn from this.
I think for me, you were talking a little bit about how you think that most viewers kind of understand the differences in brand, what to expect from brand. A lot of what Tanya and I do is kind of navigating and trying to figure out how to reinvent the voice of a brand that's, particularly in the case of Lifetime, that has a 35-year legacy of viewer expectation for it. I think so it's actually, sound pompous again, but it's actually quite joyful when you can create and deliver content that really does puncture through into the zeitgeist. So whether it's Surviving R. Kelly or American Princess or Married at First Sight or Dance Moms, some of the things that we have coming up in the pipeline. It just means that you've struck a chord, you understand the audience, and you're giving, even in this crowded landscape, that consumer this outrageously relatable entertainment experience that, is deeply satisfying to them. And that's a good feeling.
One of the things that was really satisfying to me being a first-time showrunner and creator was being able to, as Leslie Headland put it recently, send the elevator back down. And I got to work with people who I've wanted to work with since old comedy days at Upright Citizens Brigade in the 90s. And they are extraordinarily talented people, men and women, that, I had a position of power where I was like, this is the funniest person for this job. And Lifetime was so gracious about like, great, well, let's get this Betsy Stover to play this role and we'll allow you to have Donna Furman. So that was really one of the most satisfying things for me. Donna Furman. Sorry.
Furman.
Not from. Donna Furman. But just lots of really talented people that I've known for a long time who I got to bring into this experience. That was fun.
I think it is challenging. I think that's an interesting point that you make, is that you have a brand that is this strong. How do you grow? How do you expand? We don't have an interest in being a broadcast network. Having a lane and having an audience know why they come to you is really important, because they'll make time to come to you and they feel like you can't let them down though. And I think there's been times in the past, over the 35 years, where we would pivot as a network and decide, we just want to throw this big net out there. And our audience said, no,
We like you.
we like you the way you are. You know, we want you to be there, and we want you to be at this place for us. And you serve a purpose. And I you know, it's funny how you think in order to grow, you have to sort of, you know, have all these other diverse programming. But the truth is, you grow because your audience is growing, and they're growing because they're finding where they want to see their programming.
But I think you've done an amazing job of filling your programming with the same kinds of emotional touchstones, but with modern twists, because that's how you move forward. You connect with your audience through your films that always have this incredibly unique experience, and then you add these modern touches that keep your audience like, oh my gosh, that's the new element, is that specificity, that new thing. So
Yeah, great.
When it comes to establishing a lane, that simply cannot have existed, unscripted television, Lifetime's brand was solid for decades before that was a thing.
Yeah.
How do you decide what the new thing will be that will still fit in Lifetime?
Well, when I first joined Lifetime in 2010, I was brought on to really do just that. We had acquired rights to Project Runway, which was is still a brilliant format, but that was created and launched on a different network. So you'd have audiences coming in for that, but then leaving because the expectation was different. It was hard to retain them. So I was brought in to really build out the unscripted voice, and through that, in success, bring in new viewers, new generations of viewers to Lifetime. It's not easy, but the first one that's really struck gold was Dance Moms. And after some initial experimentation, and some things started to work, but that one, and there's still some DNA that, you know, we all talk about and think about, but this outrageously relatable world, the world of dance, it touches so many, you know, women. Just finding those worlds, it's not easy, but when you do, then making sure that you have a best-in-class lead character who's expert at what she does, these outrageously relatable storylines and plot lines and characters running around. There's always a centrifuge. In this case, it's Abby Lee Miller, who is the recurring, consistent centrifuge. Mother-daughter storylines as well, but that one lowered the age at Lifetime, brought in millions upon millions of new viewers. Surviving R. Kelly is doing the same thing now. It's the highest rating since Dance Moms was at its height. And, you know, Married at First Sight, upcoming shows called Marrying Millions, things like that. There was a social experiment that I love called The Week the Woman Went. There were things that are unique fits for Lifetime that when we stay true to that formula, wonderful things happen.
It's part of the thing that I look at on every movie, and even why Lifetime? Why is this on Lifetime? Why can't they get this anywhere else? And so are we?
Yeah, we're getting
The lights flickering.
okay.
So that's a real checkpoint for us. Is why can't an audience find? If an audience can't find this anywhere else but Lifetime, then that's the place we should do it.
Thank you all so much for taking
Thank
the
you
time
so
today.
much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @TVDudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.